find the manager.
It's before 6:15. How's that? Thanks, Garrett. Appreciate it. Welcome to the Keystone Heights, City of Keystone Heights Council meeting for May. Wonderful seeing all of you here tonight. If I could ask you to please turn your cell phones or silence them for us, that would be great. I'd like to ask Mr. Pastor Klinger to come and give us the invocation.
He needs to go ahead and preach. The church is here.
Yes, sir. And you pull that mic toward you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, for this meeting. We thank you, God, for all of these leaders represented in here. God, we pray that you would bless them. You would give them wisdom and direction for this great city of Keystone Heights. And Father, we just pray that you would bless this meeting. And Lord, we love you. We pray that you can just have your way, Lord. Help us to keep you first in everything that we do, every decision that we make. We thank you, Lord. We love you. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. And I'd like to ask Mr. Zeisser, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, Pastor Klinger, can you also come back up? We need to do our official swearing in for Mr. Elston Kostler here, seat 5.
Okay. Yeah. All right, you ready? I state your name.
Elston Kostler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
I will support,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and government of the United States
and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will
and I will
well and faithfully
well and faithfully
perform the duties
perform the duties
of city councilman
of city councilman
on which I am now
on which I am now
about to enter.
about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Someone's got a fan club.
I love it. Love everybody here tonight. It's awesome.
So, Councilman, do you want to introduce your family who's here to support you today?
I have the young gentleman right there is my grandson Aiden, my other son-in-law Rob, my daughter Tara, my other son-in-law John, and my other daughter Holly. And various other family people out there.
Well, welcome to all of you. We're happy to have you. And you come back again next month also if you want. Ms. Silva, can you call roll call for us?
Mayor Nina Rodenroth,
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Christine Thompson,
Here.
Councilman Tony Brown,
Here.
Councilman Elston Kustler, Councilman Dan Lewandowski.
Here.
All present, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I have a
Yes.
second?
Yes, sir.
This doesn't happen very often, but I'd just like to recognize two of my favorite teachers are sitting right there, Miss Barbara Sullivan and Miss Pravat.
Oh,
Thank you.
welcome. Do we have any public comments?
No, ma'am.
No? Thank you. Okay, we have before us item 2 here, consent agenda, minutes from the Heritage Commission meeting, the CRA minutes the city council meeting minutes, the workshop minutes, and then also another Heritage Commission minutes. And additionally, we have a pavilion rental request. Have you all looked at everything? Can I get a vote? Any comment? Or-
I have one comment on the CRA minutes.
Okay.
Before the end of its second to last paragraph, it's written, Councilman Hart stated, he is supportive of this contract as long as it specifically states that the seller is paying the relatives commission. And I think it should be the realtor's commission.
Thank you, Mr. Lewandowski. I will make that correction.
That's it.
Our realtors might have a problem with that.
The relatives.
That's funny.
Were there any?
That's it?
Ooh, one and done. I'm liking it. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Excellent. Okay, next on the list is number 3, Human Resources. And I'm going to ask Mr. Vincent to share his comments with this.
Okay, well, council, I've been with you almost 4 months. I've been checking everything out, assessing staffing needs to reflect what the majority of council has instructed us to do and what you'd like to see done, and looking at what it takes to actually run the city government in a way that it should be. I proposed to each of you individually a salary schedule to prepare for this meeting. It's in the backup. I proposed some different job descriptions. You must have at least 25, 30 job descriptions floating around the building. So different things that have been called differently, but I think more conversation needs to happen with each of you to get you to where you're comfortable with kind of big picture as a governmental entity, spending 60% of your approximately $1 million annual recurring cost in lines that support personnel, salary, benefits, etc., and 40% in other things. So I think we just need to keep working with each of you, and I'd like to bring that back to you June 3rd. So what I would ask that one of you do is make a motion to table item 3 in its entirety, and let us just continue to work and get you where you need to be comfortably and confident to move forward.
Y'all have any comments?
I'd like to take the city manager's recommendation and move that we table the entirety of item number 3 until the June meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I'd like to make the motion to terminate the contract with the city manager.
Okay, don't we need to finish the voting on this
Yes.
first motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Aye. And then
Can we
I'm,
have a question on what we're doing here?
sure.
When you come back in June, will we have more of a detail for your Public Works, what we're doing with Public Works?
So on May 21st, we have our next Budget and Finance Committee meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And what I delved into, based on all of your comments, was shutting the revolving door. So I didn't contemplate changing the city clerk at all or any of the public works at all, because you haven't had a retention problem there. But you have had a retention problem keeping people in this building. So that is, all you've seen right now is that. So what would you like looked at in public?
Well, I would like, well, for one, looking over this, and if I'm wrong, let me know, is we're looking at health insurance, full-time employees, where we haven't had full-time employees, meaning that we don't have health insurance, we don't have retirement or any of that. I personally think, since I've been on the budget and finance for quite some time, something like this needs to go, and we need to work with this on the budget that's coming up in June, and not just pull from what we have in the bank accounts or in the CDs or whatever to make this happen right now. I really think something this complex, we need to have it looked at while we're doing our next year's budget. So and you know, Charlie, I have heartburn touching that money for several reasons, because I was part of making sure that we put that money away for a rainy day or a storm or whatever might happen. It's just, I know there's a lot of money there, and I know there's a lot of cities that some counties don't even have that kind of money put away. But we do, and it was done for a reason. So I just have a heartburn with doing that. But I'd like to see us do this as a budget, in the way of a budget, instead of just pulling from the reserves and stuff, especially when the budget year is right here. I mean, we're going to start doing that in June.
Okay, well then I think tabling it's definitely the right thing to do. You have 300% of 1 year's annual operating budget in the bank. So I'm very comfortable with it, but I get to work with it every day. So, and that's what I think, is I just need to further explain it all to you as we go. And I will do that.
Okay.
So I think we heard 4 votes so far about tabling it. We're waiting on the mayor.
Yes, I agree to table it.
Okay. So now I think the vice mayor wants to make a new motion.
Yes, I make the motion to terminate the contract with the city manager.
Do I have a second?
I'm on a second it for discussion only.
Okay.
I mean, because we still got to vote, but I want to, just for discussion.
Yeah, I'm really curious. What did he do that was so terrible?
It's for just cause.
Can you explain more? I have no idea what's going on.
Okay. I haven't seen a budget. I was told that I needed to meet for budget talks. And I came up to make an appointment, and I was told that I had to wait to see what Charlie's schedule would be, which was fine. And I haven't heard anything, so I have not been clued in on the budget at all. There's other things, but I don't know if I should, I don't know if this is appropriate to. Anybody else have anything to say here?
I think he's done a great job.
Okay.
We had a revolving door, and all kinds of people were leaving, and now we have some continuity, and we have he's working on policies and updating our personnel policy, our fiscal policy, our purchasing policy. He's been working like crazy
Okay.
to do right by this city. So I haven't experienced anything but good things.
Okay. Anybody else?
I hadn't had anything but good. I come over certain times, and I always have good conversations with him. He went over this with me. You got schedules now, the next meetings, which you didn't, everybody, I had a problem when I used to sit out there, that there would be a meeting and nobody knew about it. Well, you know now, between the people we have now, I don't think it could get any better.
Okay.
Mr. Brown?
Well, my issues I've already discussed with the city manager, and I guess I'll just put them out there anyhow. But I know when we didn't have a staff pretty much when he came on board, and no bad reflections on the people that he hired. It's just we had like 13 applications, and I don't believe any of them got interviewed. I mean, I know they got letters of the positions were hired, but there again, with the budget, I have no idea what the salaries hourly that you're paying right now for the ones that you hired. I know what's in the budget, but I don't know if you're going above that, and if you are, where's that money coming from? It's not in the budget for anything else other than what we have in the budget. So that's one of my main issues. that I have.
We've seen the same faces, but not immediately. I mean, I would come in and Charlie would be absent, and there would be people that I've never seen here before. And most of them look like kids studying or something. And I thought, well, where's the person at the front desk? And there was somebody maybe sitting at the front desk. But like the mayor has said in the past, she wants someone to sit at the front desk and actually acknowledge the people walking in and smile and be friendly and make, in the Keystone manner. And with some of the people that he's hired, they've been wonderful, and I have no problem with that. But where did these people come from? I didn't see any job announcements. They just all of a sudden appeared. And that concerns me, because I know that I believe it's a legal thing when you have to advertise a government job. I worked for the government for 30 years, and I hired and I fired, if that's even possible. But that's just the way, it worked. We had to advertise a position. It stays up for a certain amount of time. You collect the applicants and you go through, just like we did when we hired Charlie and the city clerk. So it's been a few things that have bothered me, and that's why I think it's best. That's my opinion.
Do you have any comments, Charlie, about that?
All
your
I
defense?
can, I'm not defending myself.
No, I mean, just
I serve at the
the deal
city
about.
council's pleasure by the majority of you. When I walked in, the building was pretty much empty. There was a very unqualified person to be a bookkeeper, being the bookkeeper, doing her level best, but she's actually a special education teacher. That's her background. And within a week of being here, she gave me her 2 weeks' notice. The positions that I've hired, I initially advertised under a very outdated job description. I'd have to go back and find it. It was like from either 2009 or 2016. And there was a salary range with that job description, and I advertised it on the big red sign. It went on the website. We received applications. I called the people that I wanted to interview for those jobs. I interviewed and I hired them. The bookkeeper and the 2 different young men that you've seen at the front desk have been hired on a very temporary basis till I could bring you job descriptions, a salary schedule, and place them on there. Nobody's been offered anything on a reoccurring basis, to my knowledge, other than me and the city clerk, which you guys hired. But you had no staff. You had things that had to be done. So I brought you a staff. I've followed, to my knowledge, I haven't broken anything in the personnel policy, which I believe is from 2002, hasn't been updated, and I've begun drafting an updated version. So yeah, this place doesn't work exactly like every other government entity, but literally, with 30 years in various jobs in government, I've never walked into a situation where everybody else was gone. Usually when you're the senior leader, the staff is there to tell you what they do and what they need from you. Not only had I not worked in municipal government, which I fully disclosed to you, I had to figure out what it took to staff it, and that's what I was bringing to you before, previously tonight. And we're just not there as a group, as a leadership team working together. That's my assessment. I could be wrong, and you guys can, I literally work at your pleasure.
May I ask you a question, Charlie?
Sure.
How did you choose the employees?
I looked at their application. I called the ones I wanted to talk to. I interviewed them and I hired them. The young man that's currently up here is the exception to that, in that the gentleman that I had in there left for fire college late March. And I hired this gentleman part-time, temporarily, and I told him it would probably be till June before I could come back with an actual position and a salary, and if that position would ever have any benefits, et cetera, et cetera. But somebody has to be there to deal with the public.
Definitely,
So,
definitely.
I'm not aware of anybody that's left without getting correct answers, or we'll call you back with that answer, or here's the non-emergency number of the Clay County Sheriff, or we don't provide water, sewer, electricity, here's who you need. So my commitment to you guys is I would never say anything here that I hadn't talked to you and tried to prepare you for before you got in this room. But literally I've been shot at before with things that could actually kill me, so a few words really don't hurt my feelings. I wish you to come to me and had this discussion privately, but if I don't, if I'm not due that courtesy or not do that courtesy yet, no problem.
Were those jobs advertised?
Initially, I advertised jobs except for the bookkeeper. That was like a no kidding, I gotta get somebody in here. So that person's contract, no benefits temporarily until I get some job descriptions that reflect the way the city runs in 2024. The 2 front desk jobs and the administrative assistant role were advertised with your most current job description.
Were others, you said other people were interviewed besides those people or not?
No, I looked at the applications, I called who I wanted to talk to. There's nothing in your policy that says how many people have to be interviewed. I interviewed who I selected or who I thought worthy of talking to, and everybody else that applied got a letter said thank you for applying. Keep checking back to see if we have something come open in the future. All of that is done in the parameters of your existing personnel policy.
And just some comments from me. I want to take us back to January. There was nobody at the front desk. We didn't have anybody. It's Stephanie, and then you came on board shortly after Lynn left, or the day after, or whatever. And there was a revolving door. There was a lot of unhappiness in the community due to poor follow-up, phone calls returned, people not being treated politely when they walked in the door. I mean, I heard all kinds of comments. And I do honestly believe the people you brought in have done a pretty good job. They've been very friendly, overly friendly. I know the projects they've been put on. We just had the Florida League of Cities event, which was huge. Everybody pulled in. I saw everybody out there that night working till late to make it a reality for our guests. And everything that's been going on since, I get nothing but very positive response. So I think we have a good crew. And I did have some misunderstandings too about the positions being posted. I didn't see them. But again, I may not have been looking for them at the time either. So if you did the proper procedure, then I know that's what we're supposed to do, is allow the public to have an opportunity to apply. I think where we're at right now is, as far as the budget goes, and the spreadsheets you provided to us last week, it's not black and white enough for me, as I've shared with you, and I've given you my recommendations. And I think if we can come together and look at things deeper with a different lens and realize what do we really need or what we don't need, then that's how we can come together and identify. I think with Tony and I, we just have to be really comfortable, because of it being taxpayer money, that it's spent, and we want to be able to see it line item by line item so we understand it, and not only look at it month by month, but we can forecast down the road on what it's going to look like from January to December, from July 1 to the June 30th. And just be comfortable that that money is there. I mean, because I was always under the understanding that we didn't have the money to hire people or give them the proper rate. And I am all about providing the proper rate with the right qualifications to get the job done and what's best for our community. So I think tabling this is a good idea, and I think we're all going to learn from part of it and also become a lot more engaged in what the budget reflects. But I'm okay with us tabling the HR situation.
I do have one question, and Rich, if I'm out of step to ask this, but I know what the budget says, line item for clerks, front clerks, desk clerks. Are we staying within that budget right now with who you've hired? I mean, it's $15 an hour is what I saw in the.
No, the job description I used that I advertised and hired them under at a salary range of $15 to $20 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's making between $15 and $20 an hour that I've brought in.
To work the front desk.
To work the front desk, and the bookkeeper is making $20 an hour. Our
Mhm.
CPA and our auditors have told me
Right,
that I
right, you
need to
told me
pay
that.
more
Right.
and get the most qualified person I can get in there. Our CPA, whom you know well, has also said, look, you need to get people in here to do their jobs. When I walked in the file room the first time, there was a desk and papers stacked up about 3 foot high. I know that you've done things the way you've done things, and I appreciate the history. And I've never served on the city council, although I've lived here since 1981. But if the things that should be happening on a day-to-day basis, I can't say that they're all happening perfectly now after I've been here almost 4 months, but many of them just weren't happening, and it was an absolute lack of staffing. There wasn't enough people to do it. Nobody was trying to come in here and not do a good job. There weren't enough people with the right skills in the right positions, and that's what I brought to you, and I'm very confident in it, but it's my job to get you confident in it, so, that's still a work in progress.
Well, I think from our budget committee meeting we had talking about the city clerk's job description and contract, if we have to have a workshop, we need to get that kind of, because what I'm seeing on some of the job proposals that you've gotten here, a lot of it might be covered under her position as the clerk, and I can't see hiring more people or even having staff do the job that they're not supposed to be doing under the charter. If the charter says the clerk does this, this, and this, then the clerk needs to do this, this, and this. And that way, we don't have to go hiring other people. I mean, I know that we've had a low staff in the past couple of years, but our building is so big, and right now I don't see us building anything, so we're going to have people on top of each other if you hire as many people as you got presenting to us. That's how I look at it.
So, and just to get in the weeds just a tad, because we do need to take it to a workshop for sure, is when we talked about with the city clerk position having in her job description that we broadcasted last year out there, that job description was really inclusive of all kinds of responsibilities that actually do mirror very similar to a city manager's position. And upon looking at the contract does state specifically what a city clerk would be primarily responsible for. Things like the zoning, the ordinances, the voting situations, all the minutes, et cetera. Those types of, they kind of have their own lane. So what I think happened when we came out with our city clerk position, we incorporated a lot of responsibilities in there, which included HR, event planner, person who runs the building during the day in the absence of the city manager. I think that was designed in the way that in some cities don't have a city manager. So the clerk does have all of those responsibilities plus the other parts that come to play with council. So I think that's why that job description was kind of put together like it was, because in a way, Lynn kind of became the clerk and then the city manager. And I think that's just something for us to decide what additional roles do we apply to the city clerk role, depending on where we but that's kind of what I discovered in the last 48 hours, okay, since our meeting on Thursday. But yes, I think a workshop, we're going to have several more discussions before I think we're going to feel comfortable with all of us, not just budget finance. I'd like to see all 5 of us at that meeting, that workshop. Are we good? Or
Well, we got a motion
We
on
have
the
to
floor
vote?
in a second. We got to vote.
yeah.
You can withdraw the motion or you vote?
Might as well go through it. I call for a vote.
I make a motion to withdraw.
No, you.
Can't do that. Only the person who made the motion for withdrawal.
Well, we have to handle the motion in front of the table.
So can we get a second?
I second it for
He
discussion.
seconded it. So you need to
So we
call
have
for the
to,
vote.
okay, so can I have a vote?
So all those in favor?
All in favor?
All those against?
All,
All right.
So is it all those against? Aye, I'm against.
I'm against. Mr. Kessler?
Now, I kind of missed out there.
Sorry.
I'm against,
Okay, all in favor to relieve Mr. Van Sant of his duty?
I'm not.
No.
No.
So
Okay.
it's 3-2.
I
Motion
can't
fails.
see how only 4 months of the things I seen had, I mean, there was big problems, like when I had a hydraulic hose in it, on a truck that busted in front of a garbage truck. I come in here and they gave me a phone number. I come in here now, they get on the phone. Okay, I could go different instances where, here, call this number. I thought that's why I paid taxes for you guys to handle this stuff.
Okay,
It's not that way anymore.
okay.
So could I ask you, Mayor, to state how the motion went and who voted which way? Because I'm still not.
So, okay, it was 4-1, is that correct?
No, it's
Against?
3-1, or 3-2,
Who else wanted?
Tony.
No, I made a
No.
motion.
No.
I second the motion that you made the motion for discussion, so we could discuss it. So that's what I did.
Oh.
Now we had to vote. I think, for right now, that we've had the discussion, we've called the vote. Right now, I'm not voting to get rid of him.
Okay, so it's 4-1, motion fails.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And we'll be setting a date for a workshop.
The next available date, Madam Mayor, that I know that you're all available is the 28th. And so if you would like to do another budget, whatever we're workshopping.
Just under 5 days.
Sure.
We're almost there.
What's that?
Yep. 4 would be next, workshop takes us 5. So we can do the planning and zoning
Oh.
board applications,
Okay,
number 4.
yeah, gotcha. Okay, I see it now. Sorry, I didn't see that. All right, next. Number 4, action items. For the Planning and Zoning Board applications, we received one from Mr. Steve Hart and from Carrie Collins. I have Mullins. Carrie Collins, I got Carrie Collins on my mind. Carrie Mullins, excuse me. And I don't know if either one of them are here tonight to speak on their behalf.
Steve's not.
Steve's not, I don't see Steve. Is it Mr. or Miss?
She's not here either.
Okay. So then we just, we reviewed the applications that were sent to us and we make a vote. So we can go around. Who would you?
I make a motion.
There's only one position vacant, or is there?
There's one position.
My
vacant.
question, I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, it's okay. There's-
My understanding as of Friday, when I was meeting with you, we have a board member that is no longer present inside the city limits. Did you find out about that, if that's true or not?
He does not live in the city limits. He does not own property in Clay County that we could
Okay,
discern.
I make a motion that we take Mr. Bennett off the Planning and Zoning Board.
Mr. who?
Mr. Bennett, is
Oh,
it Mr. Bennett?
Oh, Dylan Bennett.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that leaves 2 positions open.
That opens 2 positions.
I'll
and I-
second your motion.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Discussion.
Okay, well,
That was a
discussion.
fast one.
So discussion.
That's been rubbing me wrong all day, so.
Discussion?
Are we dismissing Mr. Bennett because he doesn't live in the city limits? May I ask how he got on the
He
plan?
was in the city limits when he applied for the position.
Oh, so he no longer lives in the city limits?
As of Friday afternoon, when I found out that he was not in the city limits, yes.
Oh, okay.
This
So
is
that makes
recent.
it clear. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So
So there are 2 open positions.
Ms. Mullins and Mr. Hart will be the new members.
We
Okay.
need to vote on that, though.
Oh.
We have to vote to remove Mr. Bell.
I make a motion that we,
Sorry, getting ahead of the game.
Separate motion to appoint Mr. Hart and Ms. Mullins.
Okay, I'll make the motion to appoint Mr. Stephen Hart and Ms. Carrie Mullins to
Second.
the Planning and Zoning Board.
And I heard a second
Second.
from Councilman Brown.
And the vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sounds
5-0,
good to me.
vote carries. Okay,
Thank you for bringing that.
Always
to
get that goofed
council's
up.
attention.
all right, next is, this is discussion only at this point, is some workshop dates to consider. Number one now being HR, which is hot on the agenda.
So on your schedule for future workshops, the next workshop date that I know that you're all able to attend is on May 28th at 1 p.m. So I would suggest that be the one we do on the HR, if that's the majority of you guys' next big issue. And then at that strategic planning workshop, the clerk and I can work on that sheet and find an alternative date for the strategic plan. Everything might bump down one, or we might just need to add another date to that list of dates. That's just my suggestion.
So May 21st is the next budget meeting.
Budget and Finance Committee meeting.
Correct.
There's only two of you
Right, right,
that you, so you can't vote, but you can bring a recommendation to the full body.
correct. So I think that we need to have a workshop just on budget with all 5 of us there, budget only, to look at this deeper before that, probably that next budget workshop, or that next budget meeting.
I can't do that.
You can't do that? When can you do that?
May 28th is the earliest I can do anything.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then, I was just looking, because I know you're looking at the timing coming up.
You could meet without me. I'd be okay with that.
Well, and the reason, especially with it'd be one thing about some other things maybe, but because of it being budget finance conversation and the deepness of all of this, I think we all 5 have to be at it. We just have to.
Okay.
And then the other workshops just have to move forward, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if he can't be here, then that's what we have to do. May 28th, right? Okay.
May 28th, 1 p.m. Human Resources Workshop.
Okay. You said 1 p.m.?
1 p.m.
Okay. May 28th. Got it. Okay. And then next is the
Strategic planning workshop?
yeah.
May 28th.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Oh, so we
but
just changed it to the 21st?
No. We've changed the 21st is going to be our budget committee meeting.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to have a HR budget
Got it.
workshop on the 28th of May.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so you were just asking what day it is, you see that?
Yeah, I'm just trying
Oh.
to put it on my calendar correctly, so I don't.
Okay. And so the next date for the strategic planning, what did it look like, Charlie, on the dates, the potential for that?
I don't have that list of dates that's in your backup in front of me, but you have dates that
You have it?
we provided.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, Dan has them. So it looks like June 22nd?
If the, you know, it's all about prioritization. I've been saying that since the day I interviewed with you.
Yeah, June 22nd.
So
That's a
the
Saturday.
strategic planning is your second highest priority.
That was all right. That's all right. We could do maybe the 21st, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
You want to do that? Suggest
Yeah,
that?
I'm trying to see what I got going on. Oh, that's at dinner, okay. Yeah, we could do it the 20, so June 21st
Friday, June 21st.
for the strategic,
Strategic planning?
It's open on my calendar. The clerk's been maintaining that document and helped me with when things need to be in from you guys that you want to see, and then advertising. But if the June 21st is on that little gridded sheet she provided you, it's available, then I'm fine with it.
Let's
okay,
try
I'm
it.
fine with that,
Yeah, let's try it.
yeah. Okay,
That will be a strategic planning workshop.
yep, June 21st. We have a time? What works for everybody?
Well, if we do it early, say 9 or 10, then hopefully we
This-
purposely finish up before lunch because we get hungry.
Let's do 10 o'clock.
I'm on.
Okay?
10 o'clock?
Okay.
All right. And then this this Christmas retail or the vendor project that we're wanting to look at. The next date for that would be, what's it showing on there?
Well, here it says August 3rd, but I'd prefer something in July. We don't have a council meeting in July. I
Right.
don't know what personal vacations and other things look like, but I'm fairly available in July. I would suggest we stay away from the week of July 4th because that's pretty darn busy. But other than that, I'm pretty open in July.
I'm open the week of July 15th,
That sounds good to me.
anytime during that week. Are you guys open for any of that? The week of July 15th?
Which day?
For the, we don't know. I'm
That's
open.
fine, I'm open.
How are you doing, Elston?
I should be all right.
So,
Pick a day that you like.
July 16th.
July 16th.
How's it? What the heck?
10
10
a.m.
o'clock?
again,
July 16th? 10 a.m.
and that's for the Christmas
Yes.
plan.
Okay.
Yeah, the
So-
human resources, you know, maybe we-
Yeah, I have that. Thanks.
Chris.
Okay. I think
might
for
not
now,
be at
One
that
and
one.
pass the other down.
I might not be at that one, I'm not sure.
for the,
July
would you
one.
rather pick a different date?
Yeah, you have better day?
Anytime during the week. Fridays are going to be my,
Friday be better for you?
yeah.
I'm okay with Friday.
Okay, let's do Friday then.
Yep, that's the only week I'm open that week. I mean, that month. So the July 19th
Okay, change it to the 19th.
Sorry
at 10
about
o'clock.
that.
10
Got it.
o'clock.
10 o'clock, got it.
Okay.
Okay, at least we got those three, and we can kind of look at the others as we come along.
And can I just put a suggestion in about the strategic planning workshop? You had suggested that each one of the 5 of us take a part of the plan and lead that effort to develop that part of the plan. And I think we should start there and ask each council member if they have time and if they so want to please do that.
Yes,
I think that's a great idea.
yes.
But
So,
also, I don't think we should ignore the rest of it.
no.
And so therefore, I would like to suggest, because I'm a teacher and summertime opens up for me, I would like to get started on the other parts.
Yeah,
And work with an ad hoc committee of civilians
Yep.
and businessmen and women and those, and work on the other parts also.
so in preparation for that workshop, I've already been working on it.
Oh,
and with my
okay.
concept.
I like it.
And it's really not too different than we handled with the Heritage Commission. We had projects that we all wanted to be invested in doing. And I felt like instead of having 5 people come back with little tidbits of information on each project, that before we actually plan strategically, timelines and all that, cost, is that each one of us own one of the projects and do our due diligence with that research. I've actually created spreadsheets on the information that you want to come back with that you can find, and resources that you need to connect with, what their phone numbers are, their emails, that kind of stuff, and tell us what you find out. And then we together say, okay, this is what we're looking at. And if, like, say each one of us starts that project, gets the citizens to come join us for a get-together, a workshop to talk about, get their input. We gather all that data, come back to our meeting as a group, and then we can really strategize on where we want to play with things or place things. And I think it's a lot more productive and informative to do it that way. And then we can really kind of say, oh, well, I didn't know that, or, you know. But that's kind of my mindset about it.
Would it be possible to get started on our individual parts before the
Yes.
June 21st meeting?
I can bring it to the June meeting, and you guys can say which one you want to take on, and I'll give you your workbook and go at it.
That sounds great.
I already populated all the resources that would be available to us that I can find that we would want to talk to on each subject.
Okay,
So, you know, I'll do that.
that'd be great.
I'll bring it to the June meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Now, moving on to lake level status. Miss Vivian, you're going to come chat with us tonight? Welcome.
Vivian Cash James, President Save Our Lakes organization. I want to start by saying I've been to City Hall several times since Mr. Van Zant became city manager. I've interacted with him several times. I will say very positive things about him. He's represented the city well, from my perspective only, okay? He's been available. You know, we're trying to take care of Alligator Creek, the connection between Brooklyn and all the way through the city. We've been out a couple of times with St. John's folks, the water management folks. So I believe that we've had a lot of city input, and we're moving forward. And in fact, we have a team meeting, I think, in the next day or two. We'll be meeting with the water management folks. I asked for this meeting. We've got it set up. So we are moving, okay? Sometimes I feel like this is the Titanic and I'm swimming backwards, holding a piece of thread. So it's been going on a long time. But we're moving. What we're working on very hard right now is the cleanup of Lake Geneva. We're also, which I'm very excited, I think things are about to happen. We're also trying to work on the fishing pier. I've started now, since we've gotten some approval on the $25,000, I've started reaching out for more funding, and I'm getting positive results from that, and I will be bringing that back to you probably in the next, what I probably would like to ask is maybe 5 minutes in the next 2 or 3 or 4 council meetings to just update you. Scott Slater, one of our board members, is with me, and Scott has kind of taken the bull by the horns as far as getting some specific information about Geneva, and I would like to ask him to come up and give you guys some specifics, and then I'll come up for about 30 seconds after he finishes. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Yes, ma'am.
About the tree removal. Do you have any idea when that will be starting?
Scott's going to talk to
he's
you,
gonna
and
talk
well,
about that?
and what's going to happen? We finally said, you know what? We need to get the information and go to the district with what we know. Okay, so we've had some meetings with logging company folks, and we've been on the ground with them. And Scott's going to be telling you about that and showing you a couple of slides on that. Okay. So after our team meeting, I will also be at the next water district meeting, which is next Tuesday. I'm pushing now. I'm trying to be nice, but I'm pushing. So that's why I'm asking for maybe 5 minutes over the next 2 or 3 or 4 council meetings, and I'll keep you guys. It's looking good. I'll just say that for right now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And Ms. Silva, if you just make a note to add Ms. Vivian to our future meetings for the next several months as a routine. Thank you.
Scott Slater, solo board member. Vivian indicated we are working on a couple projects diligently. The Geneva project is what we've titled the tree removal on Lake Geneva. On April the 12th, Vivian, myself, and a gentleman by the name of Caleb Munden accessed the lake bed via city property by Nelson's Point, and we looked at the trees from the shoreline, and Caleb developed a budget of what he believes tree removal is going to cost. And the good news is it's not going to cost anything. Yes. And so there is enough timber in the locations specified that will cover the cost of the removal and actually generate some revenue. Vivian and I had a little discussion, and we're going to try to get the state of Florida and the Water Management District to donate that money towards your fishing pier. So it's a win-win situation.
That's great news.
If I could get the slide that has 3 purple circles on it, be the last of the 3. And so that is a slide that was from the Water Management District, and that indicates the center section is the Nelson's Point section, which is the largest area of harvestable timber. Caleb works for a company called Heritage Timber LLC, and they are a lumber and biomass company, one of the very few in the state that do both. The benefit of that is not only do they take the timber, but they take all of the branches and the underbrush. And so instead of having piles of branches from trees, everything is gone. They sell the biomass to GRU in Gainesville to run their power plant. And so it's a win-win situation to use a company like that, because they are doing what we need done for the lake bed, and that's removing all of the organic material that will die when the lake comes back. Nelson's Point is approximately, if you go to, I think it was the first slide that you pulled up. Nelson's Point, the indicated in red area is the harvestable timber, which would be sold as lumber material, which nets the highest cost. Lumber's down right now. That's between $500 and $1,000 an acre. So you're looking at generating somewhere between 21,000 and 50,000 worth of revenue just harvesting that section of state property below the high water mark. We looked at the 5th Street boat ramp, and that area is approximately 7 acres. I don't have a slide that indicates that. Everybody understands that's the Lake Geneva boat ramp below the BP station. There is not enough harvestable trees. That entire section would be biomassed, which is perfect because they mulch it, they load it into trucks, they ship it to GRU to generate power. Doesn't pay much. That would generate somewhere between $52.50 and $157.50. The key to that is it doesn't cost anything to do that. And then the last slide is a private parcel of land that is owned by Mary Smith Townsend and Todd Shelton. It's 19.5 acres, which would generate somewhere between $97.50 and $19,500 for those landowners. Ideally, we would want that to be harvested at the same time. It doesn't do us much good to harvest the rest of the timber, and then all of that timber is submerged and dead anyway. And so it would be in their best interest to have that happen at the same time. Solo, Vivian, and myself, Mr. Shelton is a solo member, and so we will contact him personally and see if we can't institute that as part of this Geneva project. So where we stand is gathering this information, gathering these budgets, and Vivian and I will approach the Water Management District, approach DEP, and say, all we need is your permission to make this happen. And then we will work on the key to this happening is access to that timbered areas. So that's where the Geneva project stands. Any questions as far as the Geneva project?
I have one.
Okay.
Personal property for some of the landowners.
Yes.
Now, some of that personal, I live on Lake Geneva, so when I purchased my property goes to the old lake line. And beyond that is a free-for-all. It's not my property. Now, there are structures and there are old dock posts on, and I'm not sure if it's private property for the older citizens that live in my area or not, because I've been told that their property goes out to the middle of the lake because that's the way it was deeded when it was sold to them. I don't know if that still pertains in this instance.
I think part of Solo's mission right now is because our membership is asking the same questions.
Okay.
And so we will get direct legal answers as to what is and is not acceptable within the lake bed.
Okay.
And that's one of our goals moving forward, is to be able to give those answers that have the foundation necessary and the proper. We will have the Water Management District at our next Solo meeting, and I'll let Vivian close with that, but they will be there to answer some of those questions.
Good, thank you.
One of the things in part of the Geneva project is Vivian and I have talked with Betsy Condon, our councilman, and she will approach the property appraiser's office at the county to give us a list of all of the landowners around Lake Geneva. And part of the Geneva project would be to contact those landowners that also have harvestable timber below the watermark, and notify them that we're going to try to make that part of the Geneva project and clean up all the trees that can die versus just the ones that I've talked about directly here. So that we're involving the county in that discussion as well, to try to get answers to your question.
Thank you.
So, any other questions as regards to Geneva project? All right, and then the other thing we're working on is the fishing pier. You guys have allocated $25,000. Solo's allocated $25,000. We have some other people that have come to the table with some funds. Myself and Bo Wright, your city employee, had a meeting with Charles Hodges, who runs North Florida Dock Services. We met at the beach. We discussed the previous plan that was presented to the city as far as tentative layout to establish the budget. And Charles had some really good ideas in addition to that plan that could be some cost savings in that project. And so we will continue to reach out to suppliers of materials for the pilings, frames, other things to see if we can get those at possibly cost or maybe some additional donations to save part of that. The first thing that my position is for the fishing pier as far as the next step is setting a meeting with St. Johns River Water Management District, and we want them to tell us what they expect the sustained level of Lake Geneva to be. And that is truly the criteria that establishes where the dock's going to go, the elevation it needs to be at, and that gets us out of the weeds and into hard numbers for the project. I believe from a financing standpoint, we're in very good shape to make this happen for the city. I think everybody that's committed to the project is going to stay committed to the project, and so I believe we're going to try to make that happen as soon as possible. Ideally, I'd love to have it cut the ribbon for your 100-year anniversary coming up next year. So if we can get that done and make it part of it, that would be absolutely great. Vivian continues to solicit funding for the project. And I think that's all I have as far as where we're at right now. So, any questions in regards to the fishing pier? No? All right. I'm going to turn it back over to Viv.
Thanks, Scott.
Y'all can see why he's on the board, right? All I do is shake the pom-poms, that's it. Basically, we're at a point that we're needing the permission from the water district, which basically is going to be coming from DEP regarding lake bed issues, who owns what. We're going, homeowners have to be notified. So all of that is going to be coming up in the near future. So just, we will keep you advised of that. The water, let me throw one more thing in, city specific, okay? We got some information from the water district. We got some, because I am continuing to say, don't just tell me something and then I go and somebody asks Solo, what can I do? And I repeat back. Well, if you said something and you repeated and repeated and repeated and got down here, it will be different by the time it got over here. And so I'm saying I want it in writing. I'll read it back to somebody, but I want it in writing. So that's been kind of hard coming. We got an email recently that had looked like it was some hard words directly from DEP, but at this meeting that we're going to have in the next day or two, we're going to nail that down, because there are just so many. Geneva's been dry for so long. You can ask anybody where your property is and who knows. So we're going to be working on that, absolutely. Scott mentioned that the Water District is coming to our meeting, which is May 14th at 7 o'clock at the First Baptist Church. And I would like to invite every council member to come to that meeting. You got questions, to ask. And I think, we've got Alligator Creek connector running through your city. Some of the information that we have looks like we can do X, Y, Z, cleaning out that creek. But then again, like I say, we need to get some confirmation. So I would really like to see every one of you here at our meeting, May 14th, 7 o'clock at the church, at First Baptist Church. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions before I?
I'd like to just add something. Yesterday when we got that downpour, which we desperately needed.
Say it again.
The downpour we got yesterday.
Yeah. Yes.
I always try to go out and look around, see if we got any flooding or anything like that. But there at Clay Electric, where we went,
yeah,
where it comes off to 100, it was pouring. And I looked down the creek's pouring, went to Nightingale, where it goes under the road.
Yeah.
It's flowing, that creek is flowing.
Underneath
when all that water we got yesterday, it does flow.
Okay.
So there's really nothing in there blocking it other than what we saw.
Okay.
And, but it was going into that creek on the other side, going into Lake Geneva.
Okay.
So that was just from the water runoff from the highway and stuff that we were getting.
I've been asked by some folks who are on the other side of 100 before it comes under 100 about cleaning out their area, and what I'm told, I won't even repeat it here because I want it in writing before I tell anybody what they can and cannot do. But there's some areas where the homeowners want to get out there and do something, which if it were me, I would too. But we hope to have a lot more answers, specific answers regarding that sort of thing, and within the next meeting. So, thank you again for your time. Yes, sir.
So, two things. One is, thank you to you and all the people on the board there at Solo.
Thank you.
I mean, you know, you don't get paid a dime, and you are doing the Lord's work here and helping our community. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I appreciate that, and we get a lot of thank yous, and I've got to say that I've been doing this 15 years now, and it seems like the people come on the board at the right time. They're just people that we need, and so my husband gets upset with me for saying, but I really am the pom-pom shaker, and so I get to stand here and say stuff, and I get the attaboys from folks, but without our board, we would be nowhere. So thank you for that.
And then I'll just add one other thing. I asked Don Conkey to add Lake Geneva to the website, that's St. John's River. Did I say his name wrong? Sorry. So I've been checking that website. And the slides from the April meeting of the St. John's River Water Management District have Lake Brooklyn on there. And so for the April meeting, they announced that Lake Brooklyn is up to 109.6 feet.
Right.
And at 114 or 115 is when water's supposed to flow. And Lake Geneva, it's a little bit more difficult to get the water level, but it's around 93.5 feet. At the May meeting, which will come up here in the middle of May or so, we'll get the April data.
Right.
And so I'm going to track it every month, and I'm going to report back here, you know, this is what's happening to the water levels, because it's coming, and I want to see how well it's coming, how fast it's coming.
So if you subscribe to the Solo newsletter, which only
I
costs
do.
you $25 a year, those lake levels are published in
The
that.
Lake Geneva level is a blank right now.
That is because there is no live monitoring station from the Water Management District to
Right.
record Lake Geneva's level, and
Yes.
we are
Right.
addressing that with the Water
Yeah.
Management.
You know
We're-
what we do, right?
We're going to be addressing that specific thing because one of the things there's some disagreement among the staff at the district as to how fast Lake Brooklyn responds to water flow, okay? I am not a scientist, but I've watched it. And I'm going to go back and pull some data. When we were able to get the drawdown on Lowry, they pumped in 60 days, they pumped 196 million gallons of water into Alligator Creek from Lake Lowry. So it had to come all the way from Lowry, all the way through, blah, blah, blah. When that happened, we had one of those, quote, wet summer or wet springs, okay? But when that happened, Alligator Creek at Immokalee Road was dry, okay? I'm going to go back and look because I throw these numbers out and I say, I better go back and double check. But Lake Brooklyn went up, and I'll correct myself next time if I'm wrong, went up at least 10 feet in a year to a year and a half. Just from that, okay? Because it was a big push. So I'm looking at, and this is Vivian's comments only, I'm looking at 109.6 elevation. Brooklyn is already, it already is going toward Geneva now, okay? It outflows totally. It's out of its banks at 115. All right, so 109.6. If Alligator Creek were running, if the Black Creek project were running right now, my prediction is it would be at outflow in 6 months. And so that's why we're trying to get Geneva taken care of. Now, I will say that when we met with the timber guy, now correct me if I'm wrong, he did say they could get in and out of there in a couple of weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So once we can get them in there, we can get the job done. But that's why I'm saying I'm starting to push these folks because they don't realize. That's my opinion, and I'm not a scientist. But anyway, so yeah, and they need something on Geneva because Geneva we have MFLs on Brooklyn and Geneva, minimum flow levels, which I won't bore you with now. But they need to have one on Geneva to prove is the minimum flow met. Because that's part of the Black Creek project. The purpose of it is aquifer recharge and meeting MFL for Brooklyn and Geneva.
So, Mr. City Manager, Mr. Van Zandt, when I spoke with Lynn Rutowski when she was the city manager, she told me that the city would go down and take a picture of a stake in Lake Geneva and send that picture every month down to the St. Johns River Management District. And that was how St. John's kept track of the Lake Geneva level. Do you know, are we still doing that?
First I've heard of it.
Yeah. I haven't heard of anything like that.
Okay, well, she told me that when she was
But
still
we will,
here.
we will be pushing that because they need to have it.
So there is a monitoring station at the Fifth Street boat ramp that is not in service. So the conduit that feeds the monitoring station is disconnected. I believe that the Water Management District needs to make an effort.
Yeah.
It's very valuable data right now to know where the lake is at, where it's going, and what's coming. So we have data prior pipeline and data post pipeline.
Right.
And that will give us a better information to predict what's going to happen.
They have some source, because if you go on their website, they give you the last 12 months worth of data for Lake Geneva. So they have some source coming from somewhere.
Okay. But we'll verify where
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
Yeah,
and try to get it live data.
okay, sounds good.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again.
Exciting stuff. And I will be at your meeting. Under events, the next item here, I know we've kind of talked as a group, different things that we're wanting to, we have a variety of things actually talking about for this next year or so. But I know right now, I think the community band has some summer concerts planned, correct, Ms. Silva?
They only have one, though, in the summer. They only have one during the summer.
Yes.
The rest of them are in the fall or winter.
Right, so in the months that what I would like to see, and again, it'll be something we have to look at with budget, but I want to bring on the Friday night Dancing Under the Oaks at the pavilion once a month with our vendors there, food vendors and whatnot, to the community. And, have some local bands be there that we can afford, find way in a budget to do this, to encourage people to socialize and be out there amongst. We had this the other night with our event, and I mean, it was amazing. And I do believe that we have the folks here that would like to see something like that happen, at least from the input that I get. And I think by bringing in the food vendors and all that to make it kind of like a city-sponsored thing with local bands, I think it would be really well received. I know I saw a lot of comments, Second Chance played for us at our event, and a lot of comments from folks who live by there, and they're like, oh, I was sitting out on my back porch, who was that? Why did we not get invited, But I'd like to try it, and I do think that we do have the need there with our community, so I'd like to see that happening. We just need to find out what it would cost us. Also, with Christmas, last year, things just kind of didn't happen, not like they did the year before. As far as our celebrating the decorating, and I know the Heritage Commission placed the wreaths and all downtown, and our Public Works put up the flags, but we didn't have the trees in the park like we did the year before. We didn't have pancakes in the park like we did the year before. The kids, I think right after, maybe the first weekend after Thanksgiving. So I've asked Mr. Van Zant and Ms. Silva to take a look, and Ms. Drew to take a look at how do we reignite some of that for the community. I've had people ask me about it, like what happened with all the trees. I think there were 50 trees, I believe, right? They're in storage?
They reported back to me
26? Okay, I couldn't remember. And so Mr. Brown, he was one of them, right? Can you tell the group kind of what the trees, if they didn't remember, what that was about?
Well, we have our main big Christmas tree that sits over there, and then businesses were able, and I don't know if the private citizens were doing it, but I know the businesses were. You could purchase a tree or give a donation of, I believe it was $25, and you got to decorate your own tree.
There was the
So-
clubs too, like Rotary and Kiwanis.
Yeah.
Wasn't just the businesses.
Yes, and actually, it was one of the clubs that asked me, like, what happened?
And it was very well, I mean, everybody liked it. I mean, I took a picture of mine and sent it to my
It was really pretty.
corporate office in Michigan, and they thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also 2 years ago, they did a tree lighting. So, and it wasn't just the big tree and all the small trees. It was all the lights
In town.
downtown.
Yeah.
All went on at the same time. All the lights in the beach all went on at the same time.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful.
Yeah.
If we could do that again,
Yeah.
that'd be outstanding.
Council, per the mayor's request, I've already created a flyer and picked some dates, and I have the Saturday right before December 1st to be that tree lighting ceremony. The mayor has not got back with me. We just did this, last week?
Yeah.
So hopefully in the next week or two, we'll have those dates out and we'll have that form out and we'll be ready to start figuring out if we need to buy additional trees or not.
And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to be meeting, this is something that's been on my agenda since I became mayor, which is to get to know the businesses more personally and sit down with them, have a chat, understand kind of their needs from us, what works, what doesn't work, what can we improve on. But I'm going to also introduce this opportunity to them at that time. And my goal is to have that done before the fall. By the time I sit down with, it's over 50 businesses that I try to set up the time to visit one-on-one. And I think it'll be a perfect time to introduce them to that opportunity there, and then we'll have a good idea on how many we might need. Because I do remember us having requests, folks wanted to have a tree, but we couldn't add anymore or something like that. There was a waiting list. So I would like to reignite that. I think it was really special, just like Dan described. And then some other additional things I think we've been talking about. So we'll see. Next, we have committee reports. Heritage Commission. Let's see.
Okay. Sorry, it's been a bit of a meeting today. We currently have 3 homes that are in the process of being plaqued, 2 historical markers, one for the city, one for Fort 11, as well as the designation for the live oak over here in the park that's underway. 4th grade field trip was a
Awesome.
success.
That was
It was a success. Next year, we're planning on adding McCrae. Depending on the
McCrae
size of the
Elementary.
4th grade class, I think we can kind of add them in. We only had 20 kids per group. We can handle 40 easily. Something that I wanted to bring up is a memorial for our police department and our volunteer fire department. There's been a lot of discussion about that, and Tony, I would like for you, I'd ask you to be the liaison to the city council for that. We're kind of in the beginning stages of it. There are people that have memorabilia, family members that are still alive, some of the people that served that are still alive. So we're just kind of in the beginning phase. Let's see. Now I was asked for a update on the Chautauqua. I assume that was you. Okay, Chautauqua Circle. Well, it's outside of the city limits, so it's outside the purview of the city council or the Heritage Commission, but I'm spearheading this, it's fact-finding mission. What we would like, for those that don't know, I think everybody knows here, the Chautauqua Circle was the original amphitheater for the Chautauqua complex. And it's sat dormant ever since the Chautauqua left. There's quite a bit of documentation, it's all been posted, and there's interest in purchasing the property and returning it to the amphitheater and making it a public park. It would have to be a county park, but it would be a wonderful venue used in conjunction with the Women's Club and for the city to have weddings, plays, concerts, that kind of thing there. Right now, it just kind of accumulates debris and teenagers. So it's notorious, So anyway, hopefully we can get it cleaned up. It's going to take a little while, but the first people that I approached, I have been in touch with the owner. I'll give you his name privately if you would like, but he's with the Blind Corporation, and so I don't feel comfortable giving it on live television. And he's willing to sell.
Oh.
So first people I approached for that was North Florida Land Trust, and they only specialize in large properties, but they might, I'm going to put in the application anyway and see if they'll make an exception. And then
How big is
also-
it, Christine? About an acre, maybe? I don't even
An
know.
acre.
About an acre.
It's just
okay.
an acre, yeah. But it is a sinkhole. You notice there's that label of a
Oh.
pond. It can't be built on anyway. So it's really a really good use for it. It's a natural area. Anyway, so the next step is Parks and Recreation, Clay County. And that's where I'm headed next. Okay, the last thing I want to do is a bit of housekeeping, which I hate to do.
Is what?
Bit of housekeeping.
Okay.
Okay, I want to make a statement, and I'm just asking you to indulge for just a minute in the record, on live television, and in our minutes. The Heritage Commission was accused by Vice Mayor Thompson of bullying city employees. Well,
I never stated the Heritage Commission. I stated.
we only have
certain
one
members.
commission.
I said commissions and boards. But I
We're
never
the
pointed-
only active, you can say it however you want to, but you know we're the only active committee here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, so I found that alarming. Bullying is serious. So I made an appointment with Mr. Van Zant, who was very cooperative. He really didn't have any information. I called our liaison, Nina, to find out if she had any information, because I had no idea. I spoke to everyone, and I really couldn't get any information. The thing is, we had two things going on at the same time. We had the League of Cities, and we had our 4th grade field trip, back to back. And everyone was stressed, but the thing is, it's a learning opportunity. Anytime there's stress, we do these events every single year, and we learn. And so if there's a problem, come to me. We can work on it. We can do a form. We can figure out a different way to do it next year. We learn not to have these events back to back anymore. It's just too much stress. Mm-hmm. But there's no reason to charge people with bullying. Communication's the answer. And I ask that anybody who has a problem, just talk about it. Anyway, thank you.
I'll put a bug in here as a possibility.
Sure.
And it would be this, still do a city Chautauqua, but do it at the beach. And that way it's ours, it's our event, it's a natural stage. We were once the Chautauqua City, let's embrace that.
So are you saying don't pursue the amphitheater?
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying don't let the fact that that's outside the city limits, and it may be totally outside of our control, stop us from pursuing such event here inside the city.
Oh, the Heritage Commission can look into having a Chautauqua-like event. But the amphitheater has nothing to do really other than the history with the Heritage Commission, because it's not in our jurisdiction.
So you would rather the Heritage Commission not run the event if we're going to do it?
No, the Heritage Commission could run the event because it's inside the city limits.
Okay.
The Heritage Commission cannot pursue the county park because it's outside of the city limits.
No, I appreciate that.
Okay.
It's just a formality situation
No,
with
I
the
understand.
borders.
Oh, also, our viewership is it's over 2,000 on our Facebook page, getting more all the time and great information.
Great.
Thanks, Christine. Okay, planning and zoning. Anybody? Mr. Zeiser? Oh,
I can speak for planning and zoning. We are currently still making progress on Dr. Ristea property and Wiggins. I don't see that happening in the next month, I'll be honest. As soon as they get all the missing parts to us, I'll have an update for council.
okay. Okay, thanks. Council comments.
Who do you want to start?
Mr. Keystone.
Thank you to all my friends and family for showing up.
They've hung out the whole time.
He's buying afterward.
Come by my house, it's free.
That's all?
Vice Mayor Thompson.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Mr. Mendez?
I can't remember, was the League of Cities dinner in between the last meeting and this meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so I went to League of Cities dinner, and I just want to say to the city staff and leadership here, first-class event.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your hard work. I even saw spouses there, and it was just great. Thank you for all the work on that.
I have to say, Drew Bell did a lot of that planning on her own.
She's in the back
I
of the
just
room
showed
out
up to
there.
help.
Yep, Drew. Thank you so much, Drew. On Wednesday was the National Day of Prayer. I learned a lot going to that event there. Thank you to Ace Hardware for letting us use the parking lot. There must have been 8 different pastors, church leaders, and who all spoke. It was truly an ecumenical service of sorts. And also a history of the National Day of Prayer was shared with us. This is a national event that started in Congress in 1952. So this is a government thing, not just a church thing. And so it really made me proud of our community. And it was just great. It was really great. And the last thing, and I'm sorry I didn't talk to you privately about this, I'm going to make a request regarding preparation for the strategic plan. So, Mr. Van Zandt, my request is an inventory of the city's capital assets that are at least $1,500 or more and are expected to last at least more than 1 year. Because part of our strategic plan, I believe, should be looking at capital asset replacement. And so we need to look at how old some of these things are. When do we need to replace a truck or a forklift or whatever it is? You know, the United States Air Force, we plan to replacing buildings every 30 years. The United States Navy plan to replace everything every 50 years. You kind of know what looks a little nicer when you have different plans like that. So what's our plan? How often are we going to replace things? Yes, sir.
Capital assets valued at $1,500 or more.
Yes.
How long, what their life expectancy?
And the life expectancy must be more than a year. And if we're going to use something up in a year, then okay, we should just plan on replacing it every single year. That's just in our normal budget. So it's got to be something that is a capital investment of more than 1 year.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Brown?
I'll add to that, Dan. I'm pretty sure we've done that in the past, and there should be a record of that if you get with Kenny, especially on our vehicles and all of our equipment and stuff. I know we did that a couple years ago. I'd like to say a couple things. One is thank you to the Heritage Commission for doing that 4th grade thing. That was so much fun, and to have my granddaughter there was even funner. If that's a word, Miss Sullivan, I don't know. The other thing is, every year I sit on the board for the Northeast Florida League of Cities, and every year we have a little bit of a pot of money that we allow the board members in the cities to get this year was $500. Since we're so small, we don't have too many 501(c)(3)s, I think is what it is. So I just wanted to announce this year I went to the Lamb, and they're getting the $500, which they are. I think there's 1 or 2 more that are in that got it the past years. So this year, Lamb got the $500.
Great.
They haven't received the check yet, but they've got it. So
Excellent.
let's see. That. The other thing is, the other day I saw some ladies walking the streets in their orange vest, and I just want to say thank you, Garden Club, for what y'all do. Your spot over across the street looks beautiful, but walking the streets and picking up trash and stuff, little cigarette butts that people throw out, you know, they were picking up everything. And I just want to say thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks. Gosh, I didn't even look at my calendar. I was looking at some other things for this meeting, trying to remember. But the most memorable, without a doubt, was the kids coming to the City Hall for the first time to learn about what we do here. And so if you can imagine, the 5 of us participated, just so the crowd doesn't really know what happened. But we had groups of kids of like 25 in a group, 4 rotations. And then they rotated to different areas that the Heritage Commission set up for them to get additional education about our community. But our job was to show them, what do we do here? And basically, we had about 25 minutes or so with them, and I showed them a quick thing about who we are, and we each talked a little bit about ourselves. Then I went to a video of what does a mayor do, what do council members, to kind of get an idea of what they actually do in this building, everything from ordinances to proposals, etc. So I wanted to take them through an actual voting process of what we would make a decision on. So they basically witnessed us purchasing the corner of 121. And the play to say, we want to make a motion to purchase, this is what it's going to be purchased for, and make our second, but then have comments, and then each one of us had a comment to talk about the research that we put into something, so they fully understood what that was all about. So then we voted, and of course, we bought the corner. And at the end, staff put together a nice proclamation for the kids that we made that day of April, forgot the date now, but that day was Keystone Heights Elementary School 4th grade class day on behalf of the city of Keystone Heights for their efforts in learning about our history, about the different components that Heritage Commission set forth, plus what does the city council do all the way down to buying a piece of property. And so we had rolled up one of these proclamations for each child to get, because all 100 children came through here. And attached to it, which Ms. Drew came up with the idea, was a piece of twine and a little city key that they found, purchased city keys, like little tiny skeleton keys. So I tell you this, and first of all, they were exploded with excitement about it. They thought it was so cool. They all wanted, we had the groups that came up here, some of them hit the gavel, let them go through that process. I had some really interesting questions. And Ms. Vivian, you would appreciate that one question I got right off the bat was, so Madam Mayor, what is your position, what has been your role with the Black Creek Project, and what is your projections? 4th grade, right? And I'm like, oh my God, okay, let's ask Tony that question. But the icing on the cake is my friend and I attended the high school's play with Annie Jr. on that Saturday following, or about a month after the event, but I think it was 2 Saturdays ago I went to that event. And there was this grandmother and 2 other ladies and some young kids in front of me. Well, all of a sudden, this little girl turns around right at intermission, and she says, Mom, there's the mayor. Oh my God, there's the mayor. And I'm thinking, who is she? I'm even thinking she's talking about me because I'm at the school, right? Anyway, she attended the thing with the Heritage Commission. And the 2 ladies with her were 2 of the teachers that are 4th grade teachers. And they told me that they, hands down, just thought it was the best thing ever for their school and for their class. And she said those kids got back to the school with their little bag of goodies and pulled out those proclamations and took the keys and hung them on their lanterns. They're for their IDs to go in and out of the school. And they were showing them off to all the kids and the rest of the school, like, look what we have and you don't have it, So that to me was just such a acknowledgement, I think. And just knowing that you hit one little kid like that is special, I think. But that's all my comments. Next we have City Clerk report.
Okay, I apologize in advance. I'm not very good at public speaking. In fact, that's the section I did worst on in my code enforcement class. I got my scores today. I did pass with an 82, so I'm very proud of myself. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you all. So my first day with the city was December 18th, 2024. I have an extensive contract with a lot of things to tick off, so I wanted to report to council all the things I have managed. I am FACE, Administrative Aspects of Code Enforcement certified, meaning I can go out there and provide tickets and work code enforcement with staff. I will be attending 2 conferences in June. Per my contract, the city has asked me to join the FACC. I'm so sorry. I've got it written here somewhere. The FACC and the IIMC. The FACC is the Florida Association of City Clerks, and the IIMC is the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. Did I say I get very nervous public speaking? So I've joined those both. I've been accepted to both, and I've already started developing and working on my CEUs, which are credits I have to earn within 12 years to be a certified clerk for this city. Within the IIMC, I've already done 3 courses, which I thought were pretty important. 10 things every clerk should know. Minutes, best practices from Mr. Lewandowski, and cybersecurity in municipalities at the mayor's request. I've also joined the Florida Records Management Association because, as Mr. Van Zant did state, our records have been a mess. So it's my goal by this time next year to have it on a regular retention schedule. I'm also looking and have supplied my application to join the Florida Municipal Communication Association, which is part of the PIO, which I am the information officer. However, I do need additional training. So they approved my application, but what I'm going to ask council tonight is if I have the approval to pay the $100 fee and to start pursuing that as well, so I can have that education and background to do the city justice.
Do we need a motion?
I think
Just consent, just for consent? I say go for it.
Yeah, no, go for it. Yep.
And that is all I have, but hopefully that pleases council. In 4 months, I've managed to tackle my contract. Now I just have to finalize the points and become certified.
Excellent. Great job, Steph.
Good job.
Thank you.
Mr. Van Zant?
So, as I gave you last month, we've got a couple of big priorities. Solo's giving you an update on the lake level. That takes a lot of time, and I'm talking with a lot of people, and they're the experts. I'm not, but whatever those two have asked for, they've gotten, and we're moving along on that. But there's a lot of intergovernmental coordination that has to happen. The good news is, the best I can tell, I've only been doing government stuff for 30-something years now, everybody is working together in a good fashion, which is not common. State, county, city, St. John's River Water Management District, Solo, who gets paid nothing and volunteers their time. It's odd when you get people that are just trying to do the right thing for the right reason, but that is the case that we're in right now. I talked with the airport manager, actually was out there for a few minutes today. The only thing he asked me to report back to council was Leadership Clay, which is a chamber training event. It's coming through Keystone Heights on May 14th. They're going to cater in lunch in the pavilion and then go out to the airport and get a little tour. We did purchase 125 East Walker Drive, the old China Chef. So Ms. Silva and I went down and signed the paperwork on your behalf at the closing agent, Lake Area Title, last week. And then went to Ameris and set up the wire for the funds. So that came out of your CRA funds, and the last accounting I provided you is what is left in the CRA after that purchase. We're writing an RFQ right now to contract for the building of the pier and the clean out of the creeks, so that if we do have to, I know because you gave or authorized $25,000 to go to Solo, that we'll have to follow the city's purchasing policy, so that will have to go out to bid. So we're working on that. We're working on one for somebody to come in and knock down and haul off the existing restaurant that hasn't been used in the last 5 years. Public Works is coordinated with Clay Electric and AT&T to get the phone and the power lines down, so that when we bid it, all they have to do is literally remove the structure, check for asbestos, and haul it off somewhere. I did review my contract. One of the stipulations is that by the 1st of June, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks, that I have begun the process to become a certified city manager. So I went on the ICMA and the FCCMA, International City and County Managers Association, and Florida City Manager and County Managers Association. Joined both organizations, filled out the application, called the lady that's head of evaluating the applications, and she says, we only meet quarterly and we have a board, and they can take up to 3.5 months after they meet the next time to tell you if you're a qualified city manager or not. I said, isn't there a bunch of classes I have to take to become a qualified city manager? She said, if you have a graduate degree, which I do, You have to have 1 year experience in your job, which I don't. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. And she said, what's your background? So I laid out my background in the military and retiring as a senior military officer and with the school system and the amount of people I've supervised, the amount of budgets I've prepared. And she said, well, it sounds like you will be certified once you have the 1 year. After that, you have to do 40 hours of continuing education annually to maintain the certification. So we'll see if the board agrees with the executive and where all that lays, but that's where I'm at in the process.
Do we need to amend your contract because of the June 1 date that's in the
No,
contract?
I've begun the process.
You've begun the process. Okay,
All
so
they'll
we're good.
allow me to
Okay.
do is apply, and they'll get to
Okay.
it when they get to it.
Okay,
It's
so
kind
we're
of
good.
the
Okay,
paperwork.
good. Okay, all right.
Do we have an airport report?
I just gave it to you.
That was it?
The only thing that they asked me to report on was their activities
Okay.
coming up. With Mr. Kirkland is here, do you have any, I mean, there's more going on at the airport, I'm sure, than that.
Well, normally we get the propeller things.
Right.
I was just curious. I mean, it's not on the agenda.
I don't want to put Mr. Kirkland on the spot,
If you're
because
not prepared, I mean, I was just, it wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah.
It usually is, so I was just asking.
So the city charter actually states that the city manager gives the report. That was brought up by one of our board members, so Mr. Van Zandt took that responsibility. We had provided information to Mr. Van Zandt for him.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Commando?
Well, being that this is our first meeting since the election, I felt like we should talk about the fact that we had a charter amendment. I do want to thank the 32 people that voted.
How many voted?
That's how many people voted, and that's something I really hope you consider when you make a decision to do a mail-only ballot or to do live elections. But fortunately, the amendment did pass 68.75%. So that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Yes, and my understanding is that position cannot be replaced until January 2025, is that right? It'll stay open until January 25, then we can go through that process again. Okay. Deputy Clerk, you have anything you want to say? Thanks for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
Just kind of fill y'all in on some changes as happens in my profession. Change is sometimes one of those things that we have to deal with, and I've been 2.5 years the assistant chief for the southern end of this county, and therefore your assistant chief. And it's time I'm now moving on to something different within the agency, and my replacement come July will be Lieutenant Ricks, who will be promoted to assistant chief. So I brought him here tonight, and so that he could kind of see the process, and boy, what a night. So
Oh, what a night.
Certainly exceeded what his expectations were
exceeded-
1 minute before we left.
Exceeded my expectations for sure. So many of you have my number. Please, anytime I can do anything for you, don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm going over to run the new school department and youth services, so that's what I'm going to be doing from
Congratulations.
July
Yes.
on. So,
Thank you for your service here.
oh, absolutely. It's been my pleasure. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
just wanted to introduce
Thank you very
him.
much.
He's a native from
Yeah, he is.
Keystone.
His mother
wonderful.
worked here for us.
And,
Yeah.
and I have no doubt that he's going to serve.
Well,
you
we're
guys
thrilled to
well.
have you.
Mom said, "When you coming down?"
And you just let us know if there's anything we can do to help you.
And your name again, sir, is Lieutenant?
Chad Ricks.
Chad's
Chad?
I'll be assistant chief.
Okay.
As of July 1st. So
Okay.
Okay.
That first Monday meeting in July.
June.
June.
No,
July.
August. We don't have July.
No, or no,
No July before July.
Ricks.
He'll be here in August.
I'll be here in August.
Got it.
I'll be here next month.
I'll be here in August.
I'll give you
And
one.
bring
I'll
you
give you
a
one
card.
more.
He didn't give me a lot of notice today. He gave me all of 38 seconds. It's not. Maybe giving him a little benefit of the doubt, 38 seconds. So I'll bring cards back. So, all right, y'all have a good night.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Appreciate everything that you all do for us. All right. Meeting's adjourned. Almost 2 hours. Goodness gracious.
Last month it was 3 hours.
Oh, it can